Hello. In this short tutorial, I'd like to demonstrate how to set up a calculated column in the Grade Center in Blackboard. I'm in a sample Blackboard course at this time, and I'm going to open the full Grade Center. Before you start talking about the weighted categories, I'd like for you to think about your grading schema. So in my example here, let's say that my grades are broken down accordingly. My homework will be 30%, quizzes 20%, participation 10%, and final exam 40%. The first thing that I'm going to recommend is that you set up these categories in your Blackboard Grade Center. So to do that, we're going to set up these 4 areas. We're going to go into the full Grade Center, click on Manage, and click on Categories. You may find that there's already a category here that you can use, but if not, and for this demonstration, we're going to create these from scratch. So the first one was participation. The next category we talked about was quizzes. The next one was homework. And then I'm going to leave the final exam alone because it is not going to be grouped together. It is only a standalone column, and I'll show you how that works when we do the weighted column. So we created our categories based on our grading schema. Now let's go back to the full Grade Center. So in my example, I've got several quizzes here. I've got an assignment as an example of a homework column. Here's my final exam column, and then I have a participation column. So the next thing I need to do is to make sure that every one of these columns is attached to the category to which they belong. If the column already exists, I can click here and I can click Edit Column Information. This is Chapter 1 quiz, so I want it to belong to the category of quizzes. So I drop down the option beside category and I select that category that I just set up as quizzes. And I'm going to click Submit. I'm going to repeat this process for every column that I have set up and make sure that it is attached to the proper category. Like we talked about, assignment 1 would belong to the category homework. So now that we have created our 4 categories, and now we've made sure every column is associated with the category to which it belongs, we're ready to create our weighted column. Some people have a question about the total column compared to the weighted total column. Total column simply is the sum of all of the columns and totals that you have there. Some people work on a point system, and this works very well for them. If you are using weighted, you are welcome to drop that down and to delete that column or hide it if you no longer want it. What we want to do is set up a weighted total. If you don't have this column already, you can click Create Column. Click Create Calculated Column and select Weighted Column. Let's call this something like Final Average because this is what we want it to calculate for us. Down here under Select Columns, this is where we can weight it and we tell it what we want to do with the calculation. Because we've set everything up in categories, we're going to go here to this category selection. This option shows every individual column in your Grade Center. This section shows just the categories. So let's look at our grading scheme one more time to remind us. Quizzes 20%, homework 30%, participation 10%, and final exam 40%. So let's choose quizzes first. I'm going to move it over. And it says, what percentage is quizzes? I'm going to tell it 20. Note too, you also have the option to drop however many of the highest grades or drop the lowest grades here. So you do have some other options that some of you like to use for these different weighted columns. But let's keep it simple for today. Another category we wanted in our calculation was the homework. And we said that homework was worth 30%. So let's assign that. We also set up a participation column. Let's put that over there. And we said that was going to be worth 10. And then finally we had our final exam. Remember, we didn't set up a category because there are not multiple final exams to put into a category. So I'm going to sneak up here right to the final exam column and also move it over. And we said that we wanted to weight that 40%. The only problem that you'll encounter here is if your percentages do not add up to 100%. So in my case, I'm okay. I click submit. Oh, there's my notice. The sum of the weights is not 100%. Now your weighted column is calculated and ready to go. I hope this tutorial was helpful.